Welcome back to the Lounge by Travefy. I'm Stephanie Grice, and today we have a really special episode because we're talking about a topic that is everywhere right now, artificial intelligence, or more commonly known as AI. But we're cutting through the buzzwords and getting into what this actually means for you as a travel advisor. This year, Travefy had the honor of partnering with Travel Market Report's first ever outlook on AI trends in the travel industry, a report built directly from the voices of advisors across the US and Canada. And the insights, they were eye-opening. Advisors are already using AI in their businesses. They're seeing efficiency gains, but they're also navigating real concerns around privacy, accuracy, and knowing where to even start. So this episode is all about separating the hype from reality, what's working, what's still uncertain, and how advisors can approach AI with confidence instead of overwhelm. So to help me guide this conversation, I am joined by Travefy CEO David Chait to help unpack.
Hello.
Yes, welcome, David. We have one of our own in here today. It's so fun.
So much fun. I'm very excited for this conversation and, longtime listener, excited to be here.
He is one of our top fans. I think we've got him in. It's very exciting. We are excited. And I know that you're going to really help us unpack what this shift means for advisors and how to navigate everything with confidence. So excited to have you. And thank you for joining us, David.
Yeah, no, excited to be here. Yeah, I mean, such an important topic that we're talking about today. And this really is a critical moment for so many industries and so many businesses, but especially ours, just with great opportunities. And so thrilled to be here to talk about AI. And yeah, I mean, there's just, we could spend days here. And so I'm really excited to chat and dig in and help elevate our industry.
Yeah, I love that. And I know over the past few years, and this is also why we had to bring David into this, because over the past few years, David, you've been on front row seat on a lot of different panels, and just into some of those most important conversations happening around AI in the travel industry. So with that perspective, can you share just why Travefy chose to partner with Travel Market Report on this first ever AI outlook? And then also from where you sit today, does this feel like a true tipping point moment for advisors and AI?
Yeah, no, fantastic question. And, there are so many reasons why we have really jumped in really headfirst in so many different ways into this important AI moment. And I think, it's really important to take a step back. And I think one of the most important starting points is our industry itself. And I love and am inspired daily by, those advisors and agencies in our industry, which, as we all know, are driven by small businesses and solopreneurs for whom their biggest barrier of growth is 24 hours in a day. And so with that, and not just on this topic, but one of our core held beliefs and one of my personal core held beliefs at Travefy is that technology overarching is a tool that can change business outcomes. And with that mindset, I think AI absolutely represents an incredible moment for travel advisors. And so that's why, and I appreciate your kind words, we've been at the forefront at Travefy in terms of thought leadership and research on this incredible topic. I've been honored to speak at conferences across the country, as well as lead panels, as well as partner on incredible research surrounding the opportunities and impacts of AI on our industry, and particularly to capture that voice of travel advisors. And it's also why at Travefy, we've been in the forefront of AI innovation with our products itself, whether it's our AI-driven smart import, as well as some very super exciting things that I am not at liberty to share yet, but will truly blow your mind. But to your question, I think we're absolutely at a tipping point. AI awareness is higher than ever, exposure is higher than ever, and the opportunity for travel advisors is so clear. But the other thing that I think is really neat is we should never forget that we're at the beginning of this AI journey. So AI in general, and specifically generative AI, is young. And so 2 years, 5 years from now, we're going to see applications of it that are things that in so many different ways we can't even conceive yet. And so really excited to be diving into the research, to be building tools that help advisors. And I know we're going to jump into so many different parts of the research in this conversation, but it's an exciting moment.
It really is. It's almost like, I mean, they say like, like the dot-com boom and like this is another layer of that's happening right in front of us, which
For
is
sure.
so cool. Yeah, so I'm really excited about this, but I'm curious to hear when you talk to advisors, in the industry, where do you see advisors feeling just the most pressure right now where AI really kind of could help?
Yeah, I mean, a great question, and in terms of the pressure advisors feel and where they're necessarily seeing the drain, I think it goes back to, again, we are an industry that is dominated by small businesses and solopreneurs. So with that 24-hour gap, barrier to growth, time is of the essence. That means they're facing challenges of prioritization, and maybe very often spending time on some of those lower value, lower impact tasks, things that aren't core to what makes a travel advisor unique and indispensable. And I think those are the places really, especially today, where AI can help and why advisors are flocking to it to take that work off their plate, to simplify it and to add efficiencies. And I think that's why some of the data we're already seeing in this report that 75% of advisors are already using AI and 15% plan to start soon. That's because they're seeing the opportunities. And we're noting that AI is no longer experimental for many. It's operational, it's core.
Yeah, that's crazy. Were you surprised by how high that adoption already is?
No, I definitely that's a really great point. And when looking at that, 75%, I had a couple different reactions. Part of me was blown away by how high it is, but part of me was not, because anyone who has the drive to start a business, to grow, to work and do things is the kind of person that is always out there looking for new tools, is always out there looking for ways that they can help grow and expand. And so the fact that they're seeing the opportunities, our incredible travel advisor community, and they're digging in and exploring, it makes sense. And so we hear about the opportunities day in, day out from our community. And so I'm excited to see it. And I'm so proud and humbled to be a part of this industry.
Yeah. Oh, it's so cool. And I know even me personally, I like how much just looking a year ago that I don't even know if I was really using AI all the time, like, your chat GPT, and now it's just like my day to day. And I hear that so much with advisors too, so it's really cool. But I'm curious here though, is for the 9%, so 9% say they do not intend to use it from this report, and 15% are saying they plan to start soon. Well, here's the thing about it, because it does take some time to learn. So what do you think is the risk in someone waiting another year to explore AI?
Yeah, and so I want to start by saying that 9% that, aren't there and don't plan and have concerns and hesitations, I get it. Inertia is real. You're busy operating your business, and that's fantastic and things there. But I do think when you're at these pivotal moments like where we are now with I do think the risks are there. And I think the number one risk is getting left behind. I know it's hyperbolic, but close your eyes and imagine a world today that if you didn't use email or texting and you were operating your business and you could only connect with someone via phone or physical, snail mail or in person, it'd be crazy, right? You literally would have such a smaller opportunity set than others. That's kind of where we're going when it comes with AI and the efficiencies it adds to businesses and the opportunities where it's becoming table stakes as a tool. And if you don't have that tool in your toolkit, there's just so many fewer things you can do. And so by waiting, you risk putting your business, your opportunities, and everything at an incredible disadvantage. And that compounds and adds up over time. But when we think about that 9%, and this is really the important thing for me and where our responsibility at Travefy lay, is that when you look at those people that are not using AI, those advisors, and you double click there, and this is where the survey can be so helpful, 49% of it that are not using it said it's because they don't have the time to learn. And I get it. You're busy, you're operating your business. And that's on us as software providers and others that serve and incorporate AI, so that we as those software, entrepreneurs or builders, as advocates for the industry, we have to make our tools intuitive and easy. It's our responsibility to reduce the barriers. And so I look at that as, again, there's a risk, but we can help lower that risk and make things more accessible for you.
For sure. It's so spot on right there. Now, to take a step back from this, and and we look at the usage patterns that we're seeing from like this report, is what does it reveal to you about where the travel advisor industry is headed with AI? And I mean, we've been talking about this a little bit, but where do you think they could continue tapping into its full potential still?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple different answers to that. And I think, number one, some of the data that we can see in the report is, again, those spikes, those areas that advisors are using it more. I mean, we see it in some of the areas that you probably might guess around content creation, and pieces there. And I think, to me, more than anything, in some of those areas you see, what it reveals about our community is that advisors are seeking to use AI in the areas where they need the most help. Whether it's things that they find less valuable to do with their time, whether it's things that they just, find harder to do, they may struggle with. It may not be the thing that's in their wheelhouse or the depth there. And in general, that's a great place to start whenever using a tool, which is to take things off your plate where your time might be better served other places. Or if it's the things that, again, aren't, as much of your passion or aren't as much of your there. Now, with all things AI, and I know that we'll probably dig into this a little more, and it's a really important part of the conversation, is to make sure that you never AI the human touch, the things that are core to what you do. And so for a travel advisor, your duty of care, your human touch, your knowledge base, those are the reasons why we love travel advisors, why we work with you, and to make sure to leave those intact and to leverage AI for everything else. And with that, you're optimizing workflows, you're adding efficiencies. And so that's the other thing it reveals is 80% of advisors said that AI improved their workflow and productivity. That means more time to grow, more time to invest. And so, again, I know I keep coming back to things, but this is such an exciting moment.
It really is. That is crazy too, that 80% of advisors said that it has improved their workflow. Like,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That is huge. Now, okay, so we talked a little bit about this already about, how is Travefy thinking about AI? But is there anything else that we didn't mention at the beginning of how does Travefy think about using AI to support the advisor instead of replacing the thinking that they're already doing?
Yeah. So, as I said, as a starting point, a core held belief that I have is that technology can change business outcomes. And so, for us, in everything, the way we think about AI, which is the way we think about all other types of technologies, things we do, is how can we help advisors grow their business? How can we help them, again, elevate the things that make them special, the things that are core to them, the things that are the reasons why, my family and yours and others flock to travel advisors and can't imagine, frankly, traveling without, but also help them reduce the administrative burdens, reduce the other areas off of them. And so, to me, one of the biggest things is really a couple areas. One is the question of personalization. And so, really, how we can leverage AI to help them further personalize the experience of their clients as opposed to reducing that. And actually, that goes to, I know I keep going back to the report, but I just, my mind was blown with so many insights from there. And in the report, it found actually among travel advisors that 64% said AI enhanced personalization, while only 17% said it reduced. And so I think identifying the distinct areas where you can leverage that is really the difference and distinction there. So when I think of, the types of things that we do within Travefy, it's using AI to help tailor things for your clients, using AI to reduce the busy work that gets in a way so you can provide more focus on the human touch and beyond. Now, in a practical sense, what are some of the ways that we've done this? Well, it's, again, not just recreating existing AI functionalities that exist, but giving you ways that really help you explode efficiencies. And so let's take our smart import as an example. Think of ChatGPT, the box. It's a prompt box that exists somewhere. And we know, and we've probably seen in a lot of different tools and things that we use, that they drop a prompt box in there and basically say, hey, you can do this here now. What has that saved you? A click? Maybe. The things that we are doing is helping provide more of that context for you automatically. And so it's not just about, hey, let me drop this in. We're doing the prompting for you. We're extracting more value with flight updates and other things and building out rich, beautiful itineraries. And we have so much more to come with that in other ways when you think about our CRM and you think about other areas that we can help you not just add those efficiencies, not just grow your business, but do so in a way that is intuitive, is personalized, and just explodes all of the value that you create for your clients.
Mhm. That's so cool. And I'm gonna come back to personalization stuff in just a moment.
Yeah,
But one thing that's always really interesting to me, especially with that Travefy, is ChatGPT, AI, all of it. It's just all learning how to give you the result that's best. And in Travefy, so I didn't even realize this, but for years we've actually been using AI in the system. You just don't see. It's not what you think. It's not like, oh, I'm going to put in a prompt. It's that it's a learning machine in the background, which is fascinating.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's one of the exciting things. And again, we've always been at the forefront of technology in so many different ways. The current wave of generative AI, we have been as well, and we will continue to be.
Yeah, super cool. Okay, so now I want to go back a little bit more on the personalization because that is actually really crazy that those 64% said that it enhanced. Because I actually would have thought the opposite because that is one of the things with AI is you just have to learn how to get the response that you need. So it's a little bit of
Yeah.
a learning module there. But why do you think though that some advisors feel that AI can make things less personal? But what's the key to using it in a way that actually strengthens it? And then also on that though, is there anything that you think just should never be handed to AI?
Yeah. Really great questions. I want to start with the first one. So your first question around personalization, and I think if you think about AI as a tool, and a tool that you leverage, maybe a calculator might be a good analogy. In this, AI is only as good as the information you feed it. And so when you think about personalization, when you think about things, AI isn't going to know my daughter Sally's preferences, passions, interests unless I tell it. And so if I'm asking it to help with something and I don't provide that information, it's not going to know. But if I do, it can leverage so many different facets for that. And so that I think is the number one thing to remember, that AI is only as good as the information you feed it. So going to that calculator analogy, if you don't put in the right numbers, you're not going to get the right answer. But, and that kind of goes to a little bit of what I was saying before. On the one hand, the answer that many might say there is great. So now I have to spend, 20 hours telling the AI all of Sally's preferences and things there. And in many cases, in many instances and tools, that might be the answer. But that's not our approach. Our approach and how we can help you unlock personalization in those areas is that we can provide the context for you. And that's really the difference between good and great tools and good and great opportunities. But again, when you feed that right things, the outputs can be more personal. There's also the other side that if you can take those low leverage items off of your plate that maybe aren't as personalized or things there, it gives you time to focus on those as well. And so I think that that's really the key and the way to think about that. To your second question, where you asked a question about, what are things you shouldn't put in? And I think privacy and things around that are super duper important. And so I would say with any tools that you work with AI, whether it's a chat GPT, whether you're leveraging a Travefy or Canva or everything in between. Number one, it's important, to understand their terms and conditions and their privacy policies. Who owns the data? What happens to that data? As a general rule, when you think about PII and other things, best to hold those back, but also understand that if, depending on the type of tool and setup and things there, what is the ownership structure on that? And just ask, look and ask and things there. The other thing, and I say this to a lot of people when they say, well, I'm using the free version of this and it's helping me do X. There is no such thing as a free lunch. And so if you are not paying for a tool, it's being paid for in some other way. And it is probably the data that you're using and putting in there. And so that's not a one size fits all answer to the question, but it's important for you, especially when you're dealing with client information, to ask the questions.
Mhm. Very, very important. And that's such a very, very good point because it's a newer thing still happening and the privacy is a thing. And your analogy of the no such thing as a free lunch is perfect. And that's so true. You don't realize that the trade-off that's happening there. So I think, yeah, in the industry, do you think in the industry that there's going to be more conversations about that coming up? Or have you seen where pretty transparent about with privacy and all the information out there?
I think conversations around privacy absolutely are happening. And a lot of, again, I've had the privilege of speaking across the country. I've had the privilege of leading many panels, and you have a lot of great conversations around data privacy come up in conjunction with AI and other things. I think it was also at the beginning of those conversations. And I think you're going to have more and more see that. And I think it's important. And I think as industry stewards, it's important for us to educate our users on these things. And it's important for all of us to work together to make sure everyone understands all of that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's why we're doing this podcast right now, and we have partnered with Travel Market Report for this because it's very, very interesting. With Travefy being one of the leading softwares in the industry, what more? Is there anything else that gets you really, really excited about utilizing AI and what Travefy can be doing with that and helping advisors?
Oh my God, yes. I am so excited about the opportunities that these newer technologies and AI can provide to our industry, to the agencies and advisors that we currently work with, to many others that I hope we at some point earn your business an opportunity to serve you. The things we have in store are truly incredible. You know, we talked a little bit about where we are today. Overall, both with what we've released as well as these critical foundational investments that we've made, are going to allow us to move and innovate so fast and so much more as the opportunity set for AI and the areas we can drive grow. And so, what is it really about? It's about providing advisors more efficiencies, saving you time, reducing your busy work, and letting you focus on what you do best. And most importantly, making sure that you shine with every interaction that you have with your clients. And so ultimately, what it's about is, again, taking those things you do and adding those efficiencies and skyrocketing all of that. And we've seen it with Smart Import. It honestly just blows my mind the amount of time that we have saved advisors and given you back into your day to day to grow your business. And we're just at the beginning.
So true. Oh, real quick, we have to drop that crazy stat from last year when we released Smart Import. I think it was at like 3 months. It had saved 17,000 hours.
Yeah, it was
It's insane.
incredible. Incredible what we were seeing, incredible what we were hearing. And these are the things there. And again, it doesn't come from just moving the box, it's the context. And it's, again, and we're so grateful for our users because everything we have and do at Travefy is because we're listening and because you, incredible community, are sharing with us. And so we've been able to identify some of these incredible areas that we can add value, we can add efficiencies. And particularly with AI, the sky is the limit right now.
It really is. It's a really, really cool time. But I have a couple more questions here for you.
Yeah.
One, I always love hearing like the true, real success stories out there that we hear from advisors. So, do you have any success stories that you've heard of when advisors are using AI to help them grow or enhance their business?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, and again, one of the things I love and adore about our industry is the collaborative nature, the sharing. And I have heard so many examples, both within Travefy context and out of Travefy context, just, other tools of advisors sharing ways that they've leveraged tools, they've identified some of their own bottlenecks, and they've exploded their business and opportunities. And for us, it's rocket fuel on the things we can do, the areas we can help. And again, nothing warms my heart more than seeing these incredible businesses grow. There's one particular, I mean, there's many particular, but there's one particular thing that I heard that blew my mind. And so one agency that we work with, they focus on bespoke travel. So for them, the proposal making process was a little longer on their side. They told us that by using our Smart Import, they were able to cut their proposal creation time down to minutes. And on top of that, by leveraging Travefy's decision tool, again, decisions which we released last year, which lets you put side-by-side options for your travelers, they also increased their close rate by 50%. Now think about
Whoa.
that. Faster creation, higher close rate. That's exponential growth. And that's the power of AI.
Dang, that is so cool. Oh my gosh. Okay, so on that, if you have to give advisors just one piece of advice to, about AI heading into the next year, if they're not using it yet, or maybe they are, and if you're not, you really should after, especially that story you just told, because that's pretty awesome. But what is the one piece of advice you would give an advisor
Yeah.
today?
I mean, the number one piece of advice I would give is just jump in and learn. Because as with anything in life, you have to start somewhere. And while there's no right or wrong place to start, I think one of the best things to do is to sit back and think about your own business because no two businesses are alike. Where do you bottleneck? Where do you spend a lot of time? Are any of those things that are maybe lower leverage or lower impact things that aren't core to you or need to be you? Those are probably some of the best places to start thinking about how can I use AI to optimize things? How can I use AI to add efficiencies? And we're here to help as your thought partner on that too. But you just, again, as with anything, there's no better way to learn than just do.
Yep, that's exactly what it is, and it is really fun, and I would say too that it's a good reminder too that when you start playing with different AI tools, that if it doesn't feel like you're getting it right away, just keep trying because
Yeah,
it will click.
for sure.
You'll start to learn and figure it out, and yeah, so that's super cool. Well, thank you so much, David. This is awesome, and
Thank you for
I'm
having me.
really excited. Yeah, I know, this is so cool. It's so awesome that we were able to get the travel market report, which I will tell you where to find that. I'm gonna put it in the show notes so everybody can go check that out because there's just so many cool data points.
It's such a fascinating and interesting read and so much to learn. And I do want to give a shout out to our good friends at Travel Market Report. We love working with them. We've loved working with them over the years. And they too are always at the forefront of research, always at the forefront of knowledge. And we appreciate having them in the industry. And we appreciate working with them.
Yeah. Shout out TMR. Amazing, amazing company and does amazing things for the industry. So really cool. And thank you so much again, David, for sharing all of your perspective and your insight on AI. It's truly clear that this is a moment. It's not about replacing what makes advisors special. It's about supporting you with those better tools, adding more efficiency, more opportunity to grow. So just so much great stuff all around. And to everyone listening, if you found today's conversation helpful, share it with a colleague in the industry as well. And also don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode of The Lounge. So we have a lot of really good stuff coming in the new year. So definitely subscribe. And also, again, if you'd like to explore the full insights from the outlook on AI trends in the travel industry, we've linked that report for you in the show notes. You can find it there as well. So thanks again for joining us. And as always, stay inspired, keep selling smarter, and we will catch you on the next flight.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.